mate. You okay? You good?
Yeah, very well, very well. So we'll get going. We've got a few questions for you. So we
Make
start
sure
with Louis.
it's
Louis, if you wanted to kick things off, mate.
Hi, Marcus. You all right?
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good. What makes you so confident you can pull off the upset? It's fair to say that you're underdog in this. Is it something that Chris does wrong, like one of his weaknesses, or just taking confidence in your own strengths and abilities?
Yeah, it's a massive fight. A huge, by far the biggest fight in my career. But I just feel I'm at a good age now. I'm coming into sort of my prime, and I think if I'm ever going to be involved in big fights, then this is the time. And Chris is obviously a great fighter. He's sort of fringe world level sort of thing, and I just think now's a good time for me to be involved in big fights like this. And like I said, I do believe that there's weaknesses in his game that I can exploit.
So I only had the one question actually. I did have two, but then couldn't find it. So it's just the one. Thank you.
No problem,
No worries, mate.
Yes, thank you.
If anyone else has any more questions, Wingy Boxing, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, what's going on, Marcus, mate? Good to speak to you again. Hope you're well.
Yes, Winger, nice to see you again, mate.
You good? You good? You were, when we spoke a few weeks ago, you were really chilled out, and you said sort of like that's just your natural temperament. I wanted to see, and it's good that I've got to speak to you now. How do you feel now when things are so close? Is there a little bit of that sort of instinct within you, smelling the blood instinct, which we spoke about before?
I think all fighters get to this point, and you're making weight, and I'm not gonna lie, and most fighters will say you're a bit snappy, you've got that sort of bit between your teeth, and it's getting close now. So there is an element of that sort of coming in at this point. But naturally, I'm just super chilled all the time. But coming closer to the fight, each day it gets closer. You'll see a sort of more sort of vicious temperament, if you like.
In an interview that I've seen with Chris Eubank Jr., he mentioned that he's very eager to show the public what he's been working on with Roy Jones Jr. Now, you could read that as anything, but I kind of almost read it as he might be looking to come out super fast and make that sort of instant statement. You're obviously prepared for that, but is that what you would think from that sort of comment, or do you not read into those sort of things?
To be honest, I've not. I don't and I won't read into too much about that. Obviously, he's gone away. We spoke, like I said, a couple of weeks ago, and I said that I think he's probably changed his game a little bit in terms of working on his boxing ability. So, if anything, I'd probably maybe say it maybe try and box more. But like I said again back then, a fighter like Chris Eubank Jr., if something's not going his own way, he'll revert back to what he's always done, and that's piling on the pressure and coming forward, which is something that obviously we've worked on, and inevitably he's going to do at some point in the fight. So listen, fight night's not too far around the corner, so we'll soon see.
Cool. Right, thank you for giving me your time, brother. I'll let somebody else step in. Peace.
Thank you, mate.
Thanks, Wingy. If we go to Ames from Boxing News TV.
Ames here for Boxing News TV. Pleasure to meet you, Marcus. How you doing?
Nice to meet you, pal. I'm good, mate. You?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Marcus, it seems to me from looking at the boxing public here, there are a lot of people who are writing you off before you've even stepped through the ropes. Have you noticed that? And does that lack of backing disappoint you?
No, I'm not gonna lie. It doesn't bother me whatsoever. I've said it in interviews time and time again. It was something expected from the second the fight was made. And listen, I'm okay with that. It doesn't bother me. It's no skin off my nose. I won't lose no sleep. And yeah, if anything, it'll just give me that extra bit of motivation to prove those people wrong.
Have you looked at specifically any of the two losses that Eubank Jr. has had handed to him from George Groves and Billy Joe Saunders? Do you take things from that into your game plan for fighting Chris?
Yeah, of course. You look at his most recent fights. What he does well, what he doesn't do so well, and it's clear that he's been beat at the top level by very good boxers. So unless he's improved dramatically in his boxing game, then the blueprint's there for for how to beat Chris Eubank. But obviously, I've said in interviews before, not only have you got to be able to box, but you've got to fight at some point in the fight as well, because it will get close at some point, and big shots will be let off from both sides. So not only have you got a bit of box, but like I said, you've got a bit of fight very well as well.
You've suffered losses in your career, Jason Wellborn, Time Booth, Alistair Warren. What have you learned from each of those losses that you're going to be taking into this weekend?
I'm on a Zoom here at the minute. I just on a Zoom here at the moment.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so obviously they was
Marcus, you just muted. You just been muted.
1 minute, guys. I'll just see what's going on there.
No worries.
Guys, if you're not asking questions, can you just stay on mute just to avoid any interference there? Let me just see if we can get him off mute. Marcus, if you want to click on your screen, you should be able to take... Sorry about that, guys.
Am I back in?
You're back in, Marcus.
Yeah, so yeah, like I was saying, those losses were a few years ago. Now they've come out the other side, and I've had some good wins since then. I think I've improved and grew as a fighter, both mentally and physically. So, like I said before, I'm at a good age. I'm coming into my prime. I'm 28 years of age. So, going into big fights now's the time, and I feel like I'm ready for these type of fights.
And can I ask you, like in equal parts, what does a win mean for you? And also, and I appreciate you won't be factoring this in, but what would a loss mean for you at this stage of your career?
Look, like you said before, I'm already wrote off to be beat. So, there's no pressure on me. I go in there and I've just got to sort of give it everything I can. And, but listen, the upset, it can happen. It's boxing. And with a fighter like Chris Eubank Jr. and me, both explosive fighters, like I said before, at some point in the fight, it's going to catch fire and big shots will be let off. And I do feel like I do carry the punching power to knock Chris Eubank out. And, if I do that, that takes my career, massive. He puts my name in the world level mix in with huge fights. And yeah, so, I'm not looking into sort of too much into both of them, a loss or a win, because, I've just got to strictly focus on, getting the job done. And then, we can see what happens after that.
Wish you all the best at the weekend. Thank you, Marcus.
Thank you very much. Take care, mate.
Thanks, James. We go to James Lupton next, please.
Hello, Marcus. How you doing, mate?
I'm Jay. You okay?
Yeah, very good. Thanks, mate. You spoke to Chris a moment ago. He said you were chosen because he needed a warm-up fight. What has Chris overlooked in you?
First of all, I've said from the beginning, my punching power. I don't think my punching power should be taken lightly or disregarded. My boxing ability. I just think this makes for a great fight. I feel like I can, win the long game. Our boxing, Chris. And like I said, if it does get close, which it will do at some point, I do carry. Listen, I'm not saying I'm going to go in there and punch Chris Eubank, from pillar to post. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I do carry the punching power. If I land, or when I land, I can knock Chris Eubank Jr. out if I land. And like I said, I'm more than capable of outboxing Chris Eubank as well.
He feels that you'll give him rounds. It sounds like he's underestimated your punching power, which you say you feel is a strong asset of yours. What will that do to Chris if he is underestimating that?
Well, listen, if you go in there and, you don't respect the power and a cock for one on your chin, you'll soon respect it. And, by that point, it could potentially be too late. So, we'll see. I've been a victim of taking my eye off the ball with opponents in the past. And, like I said, I'll send out a warning that, Chris Eubank shouldn't be doing that.
The last one from me. I know Ames mentioned a moment ago about your 3 losses there. As bad as they would have felt at the time for yourself, do you feel you would have this opportunity without them?
It's hard to say. It's a hard question to answer. I don't know where I'd be in my career. So it's a tough one to call. But like I said, I'd never be one to turn down a massive fight like this. but who knows where my career would have been, and you know what fights would have been involved in between then and now. So that's a tough one to call, mate.
Nice one. Best of luck, mate.
Thank you.
Thanks, James. If you go to Brett Redmond next, please.
Cheers, Dan. Hi, Marcos. How are you keeping, buddy?
I'm well, mate. You?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Thank you very much, mate.
Good.
Going into this fight, I can't remember actually the last time on such a big card and potentially such a big opponent that I've seen another British fighter so written off as an underdog, you know, and it's quite shambolic, I suppose, probably looking at it. Everybody else has mentioned and noted that Chris Eubank Jr., you know, he said that Golovkin, he's going to be my threat in 2021. You know, that needs to be the aim. Everybody else is looking up for him. Why do you feel like you're so considerably overlooked, not only by Chris, but by the British boxing public as well?
I just think, obviously, with, like you said, the losses that occurred in my career a few years ago, people look at that and think, you know, this guy shouldn't be in the ring with Chris. You know, and Chris, you know, he talks a good, and so he sort of puts himself on a pedestal. And like I said, I just think, you know, the boxing public, they sometimes very fickle and they're quick to forget. But I just hope that, you know, if I do go and pull this off, which is, like I said, it's a big ask. If you ask 100 boxing fans who win this fight, you know, I'm pretty sure sort of 95% of them will go lean towards Chris. So I just hope that, you know, if I do pull this off, I get the props, you know, that I deserve.
And that's an interesting point that you've made there. I was fortunate enough to speak to Denzel Bentley a couple of weeks ago, and when we were discussing the fight, and he even referenced in there that the boxing and the boxers as such are well aware of your punching power going into this fight, and it's something not to be overlooked or underlooked, I suppose to say. Do you feel like that there's the potential that if you go in there that you catch Chris with your power, that you are going to be able to stop him?
I think that's a huge thing people are forgetting. I can punch, like I really can. And, you know, this is me at middleweight. You know, Chris has been at super middleweight for a few years now, and you know, I think that might fall into my favour slightly. And you know, with these middleweights, small gloves on, if I land, I will hurt you. And you know, if there's any signs of me landing and wobbling Chris, believe me, I'll be looking to put a stop to it.
And there's definitely the blueprint that was taken there. You know, arguably George Groves was a fantastic fighter at that weight, but George, when he went in there, put on a real dominant boxing display, and I think his postures and gesturing at the end showed that they went in there and did exactly what they set out to do. Do you think the blueprint was there in those types of performances for you to take something off?
Yeah, like I said before, look, Billy Joe, George Groves, both very good boxers. You wouldn't say those type of names are like very good fighters. They box very well. Billy Joe, you put Billy Joe in with, you know, any middleweight sort of in the world, and anyone would do well to nick a round off Billy Joe over the first sort of 4 and 6 rounds. Same with Groves. You know, Groves kept it long and just outboxed him. And, you know, that's obviously where he fell short with his boxing game, which is why I said before, I believe he's gone with Roy Jones to improve that area of his game.
No, that's brilliant. Cheers, Marcus. Thanks ever so much, and I wish you every bit of success.
Thank you, mate. Thank you, time.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks, mate.
Okay, we go to Carlos Toro next, please.
Hey, Marcus, thanks so much for taking time to talk to us. Just a quick question. I mean, before the pandemic, you were someone who was fairly active, never taking too long of a break, but now you and Chris are going to be fighting for the first time, and I believe with both of your guys' longest layoffs. I mean, do you feel like that's going to maybe perhaps play a role early on in the fight as you guys are sort of now kind of getting back into the fold and shaking off maybe whatever ring rust you guys still have?
I honestly believe that's how, as an athlete and a fighter, that's how you live outside of boxing. You know, I've been in the gym for a long time. I've been sparring many rounds, you know, and I just think it's how you live outside of sort of camp, if you like. I'm not one of them fighters that, you know, as a fight goes missing for a couple of months and then gets back in when they get a fight day. I stay in all year round, staying in shape. and learning. If I'm not got a fight date, I'll be in the gym and I'll be learning. So I don't know how Chris has sort of lived outside of camp, if you like, but I believe Chris is a true professional. He stays in shape all year round and works on his craft. So I don't believe it should play too much of a big part on either side, to be honest.
Thanks, Marcus. Best of luck on Saturday.
Thank you. Cheers, mate.
Okay, if there's no final questions for Marcus, I think we'll end it there. Marcus, really appreciate your time, mate, and we'll see you in the bubble later this week.
Cheers,